Yeah, the first day in the mission field almost sent me home. So the day before, I was in the St. Paul NPC, and whenever I get nervous, me personally, it's really difficult for me to eat. So I hadn't really eaten much at all, and then like my stomach was all really queasy going in the mission field. And that day we had lunch with the president when we got there. It was a really nice place. And one thing he pointed out to me was like, Elder, like this is super nice, the rest of the city is not. And I couldn't eat very much for lunch or whatever. Finally, I get picked up by my trainer, and we only get to our apartment super late at night. And as we're driving away from the mission office, I noticed like the houses and stuff start getting like, less and less what I was used to, a little bit more humble circumstances. And we got to my house super late at night, and remember they didn't have any food. And the next day was the Christmas conference, so usually that's great for missionaries. For me, I didn't know anyone there, and I didn't understand anything that was going on. And I was still, at this point, hadn't really eaten anything at all since lunch at President's house, where I hardly ate anything. And it's really, really hot, and our house was really dirty. Everywhere I saw was super dirty, and I just got back from the MDC where they said, you get sick in all these different ways. I was convinced I was going to die or whatever. And it was really hard. So really, during that time, the mission conference, I was really contemplating like if I wanted to do it or not. I think no other point of my mission that I really seriously considered going home. And anyway, so finally, after we finally ate lunch, after me not eating for 24 hours, and the first day of the mission, I started to feel a little bit better. But then that night, the first night I was in the full day, I was in the field, it was like completely changed. The kids were playing on the streets. I met some of the members and some of the people there, and they were just super, super nice. And I had some really good food. And so that's sort of what started. It went from super low to super high on that first day.
In Rio de Janeiro, you're lucky because you get all the good food of Brazil without the kind of weird food. In some of the parts of Brazil, they'll eat, chicken heart and weird parts of pigs and stuff. And in Brazil, in Rio, we didn't really do that, which was awesome. So it was rice and beans and then some sort of meat. It was really good. The food's great. The people are just so loving and kind. And I just remember, like, you would stop someone on the street to kind of do a contact with them, and they would just give you a hug and a kiss. Like, you've never met them before, but they would just give you a kiss. And you would knock on people's door, and before you could even introduce yourself, they're, like, allowing you in and offering you food. Which in the beginning was kind of scary. But it's awesome. Like, the culture there is just so loving and so colorful and so kind. And I loved Relief Society because the women are just so, like, they're always using their arms, and they're yelling, and they're singing, and they're just doing funny things. And I think my biggest advice for anyone going there is just embrace it. Because in the beginning, there's some things that, we as Americans think are rude that they say. It's just different cultures. And I remember in the beginning just being quiet and kind of like wide-eyed, like, you guys can't say that. And then I just realized, that's part of their culture. And once I embraced it, it's just so much easier to love the people and to bond with them and to get them to trust you. And so it's different, but it's so great once you kind of just let go and, love it. And the other thing is, I don't know if this is all Brazil or just in Rio. I think it's all Brazil. But you have to eat a lot. And you have to eat what they put on your plate. If you leave food on your plate, it makes them think that you didn't like it. And so my advice is just taking a little at a time and then going back for like fifths and sixths. But if you eat a lot of food, they will love you. So that's a big thing. Food, like I remember all they do is talk about food, and all they love is food, and it's just a huge part of their lives. So I remember that was a lot. You'd be so full, and they just keep putting more and more on your plate, and you have to eat it because it's really rude if you don't. So another thing that I didn't understand in the beginning is Brazilians are always late. And if you tell them, we'll be there at 12, and you show up at 2, they're totally fine with that. I remember we'd have baptisms, and, like, people wouldn't show up, and, like, we'd have a baptism scheduled for 9, and, like, the person baptizing them would show up at, like, 10:30. And that's just really normal. And that's kind of what they expect, because traffic's bad, and they're just very laid back. And so it's kind of hard to plan, but you just have to kind of, like, be relaxed. And as a missionary, it's important to be on time, and it's important to keep your commitments, but understand that the members might not, and your investigators might not, and the people you're working with might not. And it's okay. You just have to kind of let go and go with the flow. But that's a big thing, is that you know, like the earliest someone will be is half an hour late. And sometimes people would show up 3 or 4 hours after we had planned it. And you just kind of got to learn to deal with that, as well as being a missionary, so being on time and trying to be organized. But that was a big cultural thing. That was fun.
So flying out there, I was super scared. I was all alone on the plane. I was sitting outside waiting to board the plane, and I was scared to death. I was like, I'm going to a foreign country all by myself. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to get lost. Something's going to happen. And this awesome guy came up, missionary. His name was Elder Carney, Danny Carney. And we became really good friends as we found out we were going to the same mission. We were on the same flights. We were headed out together. So that was really comforting to me, to just know that the Lord was looking out for me. And then getting there, we all thought we were cool. We thought, you know, oh, we learned some Portuguese in the MTC. And the van driver who took us from the airport to our mission president's house was Brazilian, obviously. And I said something simple to him, Tudo bem, como está, how are you? And he said something back, and I have no idea what he said, and it blew me away. I was like, okay, well, I guess I don't speak Portuguese. And it kind of, it surprised me a little bit that I didn't understand anything, but I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to work through it, and I'm going to get to work and really learning the language. And my trainer was actually the biggest worry I had. My mission president was really nice. I mean, this big guy, so he scared us all a little bit, but it was fun getting to know him. However, it was my trainer that was worrying me the most. I was worried that I wasn't going to get a good trainer. I was going to have a rough time, or that he wouldn't speak Portuguese and I wouldn't learn anything. And I remember, as my mission president had interviewed us all, he invited us all in to see who our trainers were going to be. And I just looked at the picture of my trainer, and I just felt this calm inside. I said, everything's going to be great. And he was Brazilian. He was from Rio de Janeiro. And it was just super fun working with him. It was hard getting out there and just walking probably 10 to 12 miles a day, and often hot or raining or whatever. But I didn't always understand everything that people were saying. I didn't always know what to say, but it was just fun. And it was good to know that I was a missionary serving the Lord and doing what I was needed to do.
Well, it was really hot. That was the number one thing everyone told me in MTC, and the first thing I noticed was just how warm it was and humid. And I actually was there in the winter, so when I first got there. And yeah, it's beautiful. There's like coconut trees everywhere, and lots of things like that. It's also, I mean, the northeast of Brazil is a lot more third world than other parts of Brazil. Like São Paulo is a little bit more advanced, but in the northeast it's kind of the poorer part of Brazil. So it has those aspects of third world country, that it's like poorer and the streets can be a little dirtier and there's stray animals and things like that. And I think that was one of my first impressions too, because that was just so different for me to get used to, and like the smells and things. But the people are just like super friendly. No one ever like would turn you away. Like they will let you in always.